I had dinner with some HR friends yesterday, and when they told me about two particularly disgusting layoff methods used by their company, I was shocked because I know a lot about layoff methods. But I had never heard of the one they mentioned, and they actually dared to do that. An HR said that when their company wants to lay off employees, especially those with longer service, the company is reluctant to spend the money because the compensation required is relatively large, which could be 15 to 30,000. At this time, the company leaders will organize these employees in the name of doing team building, saying that it's to reward them. Generally, they will go to some KTV to drink, bath center to have massages, etc., and they will even find some places that provide very special services for these employees. The employees were having a great time at the time, but their leader reported them directly and sent them to jail that same night. Then the company fired them for this reason without any compensation. Another HR said that their company would invite employees who were about to be laid off to play mahjong together, and they would definitely play for money. At this time, the leader reported the case of gambling and sent them directly to jail without having to pay any compensation. In recent years, China's economy has continued to deteriorate, the unemployment rate has remained high, and a wave of layoffs has spread to major cities. Even the first-tier city of Shanghai has not been spared. When companies lay off employees, they generally need to pay employees N+1 economic compensation. N is the number of years the employee has worked for the employer. For every full year, 1 month's salary will be compensated. In order to avoid paying compensation, some companies use various means to force employees to resign. Their tactics vary, including reducing employees' salaries, changing positions, changing work locations, etc. Let's talk about related topics today. But before we do, we would like to invite you to subscribe. Your support is our greatest motivation and allows us to bring you more valuable content. Now, moving on. Many companies in mainland China are laying off employees. Even state-owned enterprises are laying off employees. Who said state-owned enterprises don't lay off employees? Recently, my sister's entire department was wiped out. She had worked there for more than 5 years. Her monthly salary was $2,200 before. If an ordinary private company laid off employees, even if she was given N+1, she could still get $12,000, right? But here, they don't talk to you about compensation at all. They just give you 3 options, and you can decide for yourself. The first option was to transfer within the company. She used to be a designer, and the transfer opportunities she was offered were basically to engineering, marketing, logistics, etc., which were not related to her major. Moreover, the new department will continue to assess and interview you. If you pass, the original salary level can remain unchanged. The second option is to go to a sister company. They also have vacancies. This is actually not much different from the recruitment in the job market. You will not receive any preferential treatment just because you are from a sister company, and the remuneration package for many positions is far less than the original ones. To get a slightly better job, you may have to change cities. The third option is to go to a new company under the group and start from scratch. The positive side is that it means new opportunities across industries. For example, their group has companies that make chips and those related to new energy. The disadvantage is that it's unstable and has an unknown future. Besides, you have to take the initiative to resign from your original company first, and the new company will also need to sign a contract with you for 1 or 3 years. Increasing employees' workload without raising salaries is a way for companies to force employees to leave voluntarily. My best friend called me yesterday and told me that their company laid off nearly 70% of its employees. What does that mean? The company she works for is a large, heavy industrial company with a total staff of over 1,000 people. I always thought it was a very stable job. Her department originally had more than 100 employees, but since July this year, layoffs have begun, and now there are only more than 30 people left. Let's understand it from another angle. Previously, one person did the work of one person, but now one person has to do the work of 4 to 5 people. My best friend's situation is even more outrageous. Her leader wants to assign her to another department. It's okay not to increase her salary, but her salary got cut. Isn't this simply increasing the quantity without increasing the payment? So my best friend decisively resigned. What should you do if you are laid off in disguise? I just came out of a court session at the court. Companies are now using more and more tactics. To put it nicely, it's called personnel optimization, but in fact, they just don't want to use you and want to lay you off. I feel that a very cruel method is to transfer you to another place or a remote area. Most people can't stand being far away from home and their parents, so they finally leave voluntarily. The company achieves its goal without any effort. This blogger said that some companies try every means to reduce layoff compensation. The first sort of rogue way of layoffs is to tell you that you are not doing well and ask you to quit without getting any compensation. However, the company that negotiates in this way is most likely not bad to the core. They are still willing to talk to you and are willing to deceive you. If in this situation you say that I do not agree to resign and there is no problem with the workability, generally through negotiation you can be given N+1 in the end. This is the first trick, so everyone must be careful. The second routine is picked by companies that are bad to the core. Some people may never encounter such a bad company in their entire life. But to be honest, some of these bad companies have quite a few employees. From the moment you join such a company, it wants to avoid all layoffs and subsequent arbitration risks. He asked everyone to re-sign contracts every once in a while, and their length of service would not be extended. This means that you have already worked in this company for a year, but because you transferred your contract, your new contract may only be for 3 months. If you are laid off at this time, your compensation will be less than the actual situation. There are many ways to lay off employees in disguise, and a new trick has recently been reported. On February 13th, a netizen posted that Shandong Provincial Linyi Suntech Chemical Group issued a notice requiring single employees aged 28 to 58, including divorced ones, to get married within a few months, otherwise their job contracts will be terminated. According to the notice circulated online, the company is promoting the culture of loyalty Chinese parental respect, benevolence, and righteousness in response to the call of the country. The notice stated, "Not getting married and having children is being unloyal to his country. Not listening to one's parents and causing them to worry is not a good son or daughter. Not being able to find a partner after several failed attempts is being unkind. And if one does not listen to colleagues' advice to get married, it is being unrighteous." The notice also specifically addressed someone, saying that you are still single and must resolve your personal marriage issues before September 30th, 2025. It also proposed penalties. If it's not completed within the first quarter, you must write a review. If it's not completed within the second quarter, you must be assessed. If it is not completed within the third quarter, the individual must resign. If you cannot get married within the third quarter, the company will terminate the employment contract. In addition, the notice also requires the company's admin office and human resources department to conduct supervision and assessment. According to mainland media reports, the company responded that the notice was a decision made by the company's top management and was an internal matter. After the notice was exposed on the internet, it sparked heated discussion. Netizens left comments such as, "You are applying for a job at a company, not a breeding center. I have never seen anything like this before," and "I have seen forced labor, but this is the first time I have seen forced marriage. This company is not a breeding center." Some netizens also questioned, next step, will the employment contracts of married couples without children also be terminated? Does this violate the labor law? Another netizen asked, is this a disguised way of laying off employees? Why are disguised layoffs becoming popular in China? Because it's really difficult for both company bosses and employees. They don't know if their jobs will still exist tomorrow. The job market is extremely sluggish, and it's difficult to find a job in big cities such as Shanghai. Do you know how many people in Shanghai can't even find a job right now? Because I work as a business license agent in Shanghai, if I tell you about the current situation in Shanghai, you may not believe it. Every street is being rented out or transferred. Last year, many small companies and self-employed individuals disappeared. Large companies are cutting salaries and laying off employees. Many people who lost their jobs have turned to food deliveries or express deliveries. So you will see more and more delivery boys and courier guys in Shanghai. In Shanghai, a city with high consumption, an ordinary job can't support a large family. After the company's employees had their salaries cut, they had to bear more work, equaling several people for the same wage. So, if you have a stable job now and can receive your salary on time every month, you are actually living a life that most people envy. It's really difficult to find a job in Shanghai this year. Most job seekers are very humble. I have been engaged in HR recruitment for nearly 10 years. In the past 2 years, I have hardly heard any candidates say they sought better development. More than 90% of them were laid off or had their salaries cut. What makes me sad is that most job seekers keep a low profile. When I asked them about their expected salary, most said that it would be fine if it remained the same as before. Very few expected a raise, and some even volunteered to take a pay cut. In such an environment, the hiring attitudes of many companies have also changed a lot. Some employers feel that since the overall environment is not good, there is no need to give a salary increase. Anyway, there are plenty of people who will do the job if you don't, and they can always choose candidates with better cost effectiveness. I still remember the time in 2018 when I felt unhappy at work and decided to resign. It's no exaggeration to say that I resigned in the morning and received an offer in the afternoon. I got interviewed by more than a dozen companies in a week, and it was easy to get a 20% salary increase by changing jobs. It seems like a dream when I recall those stories. At that time, there was a very popular resignation statement, which was, "The world is so big, I want to go see it." Even if there was a long gap at that time, people didn't feel as anxious as it is now. I was laid off from a real estate company at the age of 38. I have been looking for a job for 2 months. I have a mortgage of $275,000 and I have to support 2 children who are in school. Layoffs disrupted my peaceful life. I initially thought that it would reach a turning point after the 3-year epidemic, but I didn't expect it would be harder to make money year after year, and expenses seemed to be getting higher and higher. Since graduating from university, I have been a middle-level manager in one of the top 10 real estate companies in the country. However, when it comes to layoffs, no one is spared, and there is really no way out for ordinary people. The employees have no voice in the salary cuts. I submitted more than 1,000 resumes on several recruitment websites, but at my age, I can only be a delivery guy or an online ride-hailing driver. It's really awkward at my age. I can't stay up late frequently because my body can't bear it. I can't go on business trips very often because my family needs me. My learning ability was not as good as that of freshly graduated college students. When I was approaching 40, I lost the courage to start over. This market recognizes this point, so we can only be at the mercy of others. It's like a curse, and I can't make a job last for 4 months. I have worked as a customer service representative, a cashier, and when I had no other options, a waiter just to survive in this city. Should I go back to my hometown? I don't know. Chinese people are born to have the desire to prove themselves to their families. I have been unemployed for almost 2 or 3 months now. I check recruitment software every day, daydream in a daze, and lie in bed without wanting to move. Do you know how difficult it is now? The wave of bankruptcies, salary cuts, and unemployment, these are things you won't see in the news media. What you can always see are long legs, black stockings, high heels, daily displays of wealth, and candy-coated prosperous times. What people cannot see? If you are in the government system or a small executive in a company, are you in a dilemma now? Large companies will have to lay off employees, and the wave of wage cuts within government system will continue. As for how much it has dropped, I don't know. You can ask those around who are in the system. This is the trend, and it will get worse in the future. I am not an alarmist or trying to vent anxiety. I am just stating the facts. In fact, we are already in an economic crisis, and we should be clear-minded. Factories are not hiring. That is a fact. The average debt per person is $15,000 to $30,000, which is also a fact. It's very difficult now. That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.